I've been wanting to make this video for a while, not because I owe anyone an explanation, but because for most of my life, I've been living with a version of myself that the world didn't really get to see. People have often described me as confident, capable, articulate, put together. And for the most part, I really am. But what most people don't realize is that what they've been seeing is me translating constantly. My whole life has been an act of translation, trying to make sense of a world that never quite made sense to me. For a long time, I didn't have language for that. I just thought that I was weird, or difficult, or too sensitive, or even lazy. Because when I was younger, that's what I was told. That I was lazy, that I didn't try hard enough, that I didn't play well with others, that I was too emotional, too intense, too in my head. And none of that was true. The truth was, I was overwhelmed constantly. Every sound, every expression, every small social cue, my brain was processing it all at once. I didn't have the filters that other kids seemed to have. I couldn't tune out the noise. So when I shut down or zoned out or got frustrated, it wasn't because I didn't care. It was because I was overstimulated. But no one around me understood that. Instead, I learned to adapt. I learned to smile when I was anxious, to be agreeable when I was confused, to say yes when I desperately needed to say no. That's what masking is. It's not pretending to be someone else. It's surviving in a world that isn't built for you. And I got really good at it. So good that most people would never ever guess how much effort it takes just to be normal, to sit in a meeting and seem calm, to make small talk without spinning inside, to walk into a loud room and look like I'm okay. But I'm not okay, not all the time, because every moment that I'm managing what I feel, translating what I see, and trying to appear effortless while doing it, it's draining. People see the finished version of me, the creative, the strategist, the guy who can do anything he sets his mind to. What they don't see is the recovery that comes afterward, the quiet, the exhaustion, the need to be alone and recalibrate after giving so much of myself away. That's the part that's invisible, the cost, the burnout, the internal chaos that builds up behind the polished exterior. For a long time, I internalized the idea that there was something wrong with me. Just because I couldn't keep up, that I had to keep pushing, keep performing, keep being impressive. But what I didn't realize was that I wasn't broken. I was just different. My brain just works differently. I don't think in lines. I think in webs. When I see something, I see every pattern connected to it all at once. I can see the big picture instantly. How things fit together, how systems overlap, how energy moves through people. It's why I'm so good at what I do for a living. But it also means that it's hard to explain what's inside my head. Sometimes I wish that I could just hand someone a zip drive and say, here, see it how I see it. Because translating that complexity into words takes enormous energy. And that's the paradox. The very thing that makes me gifted also makes me exhausted. What people don't realize about high masking autism is that it's not about lacking empathy. It's the complete opposite. It's feeling everything, noticing everything, absorbing people's moods, their tones, their silences. And because I feel it all so deeply, I spend half my life managing emotions that aren't even mine. That kind of empathy sounds beautiful, but it's not easy. It's a full body experience that can leave me completely wiped out. Sometimes I'll come home from a simple social gathering and feel like I've just run a marathon. Not because anything went wrong, but because I was tracking every detail, reading every signal, performing calmness while my body was buzzing. And then I crash. That's the part people rarely see. The quiet after the mask comes down. The stillness that looks like solitude, but is really just survival. I think one of the hardest parts of realizing I'm autistic was the grief that came with it. Because I looked back at my whole life and saw how misunderstood I had been, even by myself. How many times I was punished or shamed for something that was really a cry for regulation. How many friendships or relationships broke down because I couldn't explain what was happening inside of me. But there's also relief in it, because now I finally have language. I can look at myself and say, oh, that's not failure, that's my nervous system. And that shift, that simple moment of understanding, it changes everything. I'm not healing who I was. I'm meeting who I've always been. And I'm learning to build a life that fits that person, not the version of me I thought I had to be. That means less pushing through burnout, less apologizing for needing space, more choosing environments that feel safe, and people who don't make me mask, because that's what this is really about. Not perfection, not diagnosis, not a label, but freedom. The freedom to exist as I am without constantly performing, understanding calmness or normalcy. So if you've ever wondered what autism looks like for me, it looks like someone who's always cared too much, felt too much, and tried too hard to fit in when his body was screaming for rest. It looks like being brilliant and broken all at the same time, and learning that those two things aren't opposites. I don't want sympathy. I just want understanding, because understanding builds bridges. And maybe if we talked about this more, the hidden, nuanced, high masking kind of autism, a lot more people would realize that they've been surviving the same way too. If this resonates with you or helps you see yourself a little more clearly, feel free to share it. Not for numbers, not for reach, but because people like us deserve to know that we're not alone.